Just send it out from my trusty Windows 8.1 machine.
See how Skype on Windows 10 holds it.
Oh dear.
I'm on Windows 10 as well, so it's going to be a challenge tonight.
We're cutting edge.
Okay, well, that's the link out. Chat room open. I think we're all set. So, Jason, Gary, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, so we made it all here again.
We have.
Just about. Well, it's been a fairly quiet week, hasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know what we're going to talk about for the next hour.
Yeah, so what can we talk about next hour? Do you think we could talk about Windows 10?
Possibly.
We can talk Windows 10. We can talk, is it feature complete? Like we'll talk about that. We can talk about the reservation process for Windows 10. We've got a date for Windows 10, a new build for Windows 10, and a couple of other bits and pieces that MB and other bits and pieces to talk about as well. So let's start with talking Windows 10. So since we last talked, there's been quite a bit of Windows 10 news.
Yes, there's been a lot to talk about. I think what with new build that came out afterwards, didn't it? After we recorded last week, and then potentially a release date for Windows 1.0, as Cortana keeps calling it for me.
Like that.
Yes, I asked her when Windows 10 was available, and she said Windows 1.0 will be available.
Well, does that now work? Does that work? So
it brought back some web results, and I think what she was doing was actually reading the title of the web pages. It doesn't seem to work as well as it does in the States.
So I should try this on my Cortana now. When will Windows 10 be released? Thinking. Oh, yeah. It's not. It was just brought a web search up.
Yeah, you have to be very specific. It's when will Windows 10 be available?
Okay.
Cortana is very temperamental with words.
When will Windows 10 be available? Think about it. And it's done a Windows search as well. It's done a web search. Okay. Well, that worked not quite so well as it does. I think it's in the US version. It prompt. But did you say you got a good a sort of a canned reply?
I got it was a part web search, but it probably wasn't the kind of web search that you're seeing. It was more of a curated web result.
Yeah.
And then she read the titles of the web pages. So Windows 1.0 will be free upgrades and things like that. But yeah, just maybe laugh. I actually called it 1.0 instead of 10.
Well, we can talk about the upgrades. We can talk about that process and some of the other news from Gable about the feature complete and so on. But let's first talk about the new build. So, in fact, there was a tweet from Gable last week saying there will be no no release this week.
And definitely not on a Friday.
Yeah. So they said there'll be no new release last week, but they are looking at, I think it was build 130, 10.130 that they were looking at internally. Anyway, they did release it on Friday evening or Friday afternoon, I guess, their time.
Yes, yeah, they certainly did, and as you said, people have kind of moved on to other things, haven't they? Because he said there wasn't going to be one this week, and they keep saying that they don't do builds on Fridays. But I think this is the fourth. I think you include Windows Phone.
Yes, I think the Friday is now the most frequent day for the releases.
But I think he pointed out that they're pretty much working all hours at this point anyway, for the reason that we'll talk about in a bit. But yeah, so the new build came out, and a laptop upgraded automatically, and I think the desktop upgraded automatically, albeit a lot slower than you guys with your super fast broadband. But my Surface Pro 3 it really didn't want to upgrade at all. It wasn't the upgrade process, it was actually just downloading the update. It seemed to keep crashing the networking stack. So it would kind of get to 30% and then just completely give up, and nothing I did could get it to move. And then I think once I got it up to, I think 60%, and then it stalled. And in the end, what I did was unbind the virtual switch from my Hyper-V setup away from the wireless adapter, and also set the tablet not to go to sleep if it was plugged in the dock. And eventually I got there and I actually did download it and install it. And I think you commented, and certainly I've experienced the last 2 builds, the upgrade process has gone so much quicker. I mean, it's almost probably about 20 minutes or so, I think, maybe 15, 20 minutes on the Surface Pro 3.
I timeline on my big PC here, and it took 15 minutes and 26 seconds.
Yeah, so it's definitely a lot quicker. They seem to remove one of the steps, don't they? I'm sure that's not removed behind the scenes, but in terms of visual feedback, I think there was 4 steps, wasn't there? Now there's only 3. But yeah, so once I'd actually got the file downloaded, it installed and upgraded absolutely fine. I think this build is probably even more stable than the previous one. I've not had any start menu issues in terms of it opening. The only problem I have got is that I've got loads of duplicated items in all apps, and on the most recent, I've got, like, for example, if I look at Mail, I've got one icon which has got the envelope, and then I've got a blank one with the progress bar underneath it.
Yeah, I think I've seen a couple of them, although I haven't got that issue you've got, but I have seen that.
And the only other issue I seem to be experiencing is that the Surface Pen doesn't work launching OneNote, which was working previously. But to be honest, I haven't had a recent, since I've got past all my Windows start menu issues, I haven't had a build where the Surface app actually will load. It just starts to load and then it crashes.
Right.
So it could be something to do with that. I don't know, but certainly looking at the feedback app, there's lots of people reporting that the Surface Pen no longer works with this build.
Yeah. So we'll talk about the sort of the functionality then of in a sec. So Gary, so your experiences were pretty similar. It was a fairly straightforward upgrade.
Yeah, the installation. The only thing I've come across, which is a bit weird, is that since I've done an upgrade, Cyberlink Audio Director won't load, which is weird. No. It just sits forever. I don't know if they've done something to the audio behind the scenes, maybe, and that's what's stopping it working. But all my other audio programs work, but that one just will hang. And I tested it. I rolled back and it was working fine. So rolled it forward again, it stopped working. So it's definitely something to do with the build.
I see. Is it? I think G Coffney on Twitter. I can't remember her full name, but she was mentioning that her USB headphones don't work. Oh. So it could be that there was some audio stat change. I think she's had to go out. She's had to go and buy a Bluetooth headset.
Well, I'm on USB headphones and they're working okay. So
yes, yeah, me too. So it might have just been a localized issue.
Yeah, but I just wonder if there's been some audio stat changes or something strange. I mean, drivers and things do change, but this late in the day, they shouldn't be changing that major things.
Certainly hope not.
No, you would hope not, but that's the only sort of real weirdness I've had. I mean, I've had a few glitches on the start menu. If I go full screen on the start menu and then drag some of the boxes around, the boxes disappear.
Oh, I've had that in the previous bit, and then they will reappear at some point.
Yes, yeah.
Or they sometimes float. I've had ones that just float, and then when you close the start menu, they still sit there, floating in midair.
Yeah. Well, in fact, I've just got that. It's not even full screen. I've just got it on the reduced size one now. I'm just trying to drag the settings icon across, and it's disappearing as I drag it. So that's a bit. But I mean, visual glitches. I just there's a lot of tidying up still to do.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and then we'll talk about that in a sec. So on my Encore 8, I did the upgrade, and it didn't take too long, like you said. But once it finished, it was really almost unusable. You hit the start menu, and it wouldn't go away. So once you had the full, because I've got it in tablet mode, so you got the full screen tablet mode, your interface. You could launch an app, and you could see them launching, but they wouldn't actually go away. And you could try task switching, and it would just keep the start menu there. I eventually managed to get the Action Center up, and that normally didn't work. But when it did work, I managed to turn tablet mode off, so I got the smaller start menu, but that was still there as well. So even when you went to settings, the start menu was still there, so it would never go away, the start menu. So and then what would happen, the start menu would go away and you couldn't get it back again. So no matter how many times you hit the Windows key, it would never bring the start menu back. So there was just no way to launch any programs. And the Cortana button didn't work, the back button, the task switcher, nothing would work, but the foreground program would work. So that was you couldn't switch. So it was a real nightmare. It just wasn't working at all properly. So I did a PC refresh because there's nothing on this machine anyway of any importance. And pleased to say that actually did fix it. So in fact, PC refresh failed at first. I thought, this is going to get in the right mess. But then the second time it did do it. And got to say, it's looking much better. Also, but somehow doing the PC refresh, because it reset the icons on it reset all the live tiles back to the default Windows installation from the options that I had before. But somehow it all seems to work better now. And I don't remember I said it on the other shows, but in landscape mode, I still only got 3 icons or 3 tiles across. So there's a huge border on both sides. But since doing the PC refresh, and I get 6, so 2 groups of 3.
Yeah.
Which looks much better as well. So this Encore 8 is now working much better. Occasionally, it will do something like not bring the action sensor in or something like that, but it's fairly infrequent. And a couple of times it has crashed the start menu, I've noticed. But in the previous releases, I would actually reboot to do that. But this time it just seemed to reload now, and then you get all the notifications again. And then it carries on. And a couple of times it wouldn't bring up the on-screen keyboard no matter what I did. So there's little glitches like that, but overall this seems to be much better now. And since doing the PC refresh, it just shows you how the upgrade process or the upgrade between build process does affect your experience, because it's gone from being totally unusable to being extremely reliable.
Yeah. I think I think one thing I might be tempted to do once we get to the final release is actually to do a PC refresh and kind of just clean everything out. 'Cause the PC refresh in some ways is like doing a clean install, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think I might try that, but it is a shame in a way, because they did. I mean, obviously, it's never any guarantees, and there's always going to be a few leftover niggles. But they have been kind of saying. I noticed Gabe's been repeating it more recently too, that it'll be fine just to keep upgrading through the preview releases up to the final release. So hopefully they're going to have some kind of upgrade process for us inside of preview people that cleans things up completely.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine there's bits and pieces of code and things like that from previous ones that are no longer applicable from previous builds and things like that they need to clean up.
Because obviously with the way the installation process works now, which is to remove the current Windows installation and rename it Windows.old, and then it copies in a Windows image. So essentially you are getting a clean version, but then obviously it copies back in all the rubbish. So if they can put some kind of filter in place, then that would obviously prevent that from happening.
Yeah. So this machine is now working fairly well. I did upgrade my HP Touch Smart.
Oh. Hey.
But that's not having quite a good experience. I think that's going to need a refresh, because the start menu doesn't work at all on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does seem to be related to upgrades. The problems with the start menu and the formatting and the super wide margins and things like that. That just seems to be.
Yeah, and it did have. I've seen Gabe mention that this is part of the reason why these builds aren't ending up on the slow ring, because the upgrade process does seem to have still some showstopper bugs around start menus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you hit the Windows key on the Touch Smart now and nothing comes up, it just changes the Windows key color to the focused color.
Yes, well, welcome to my world.
Yeah. But the weird thing is, any programs with desktop shortcuts work fine.
Mm. My biggest frustration is still the fact that, similar to what you said, Ian, is that on the Surface Pro 3, I've still only got 2 columns of tiles, and it's just so much wasted space. But occasionally it's almost like the graphics driver resets, and then I end up with 3 columns of tiles. So it's definitely got the capability in there, and I wonder whether or not, like you, if I did a refresh, maybe I'd see that clean itself up more permanently.
Have you checked the screen scaling?
It's 150% for the standard desktop,
right,
which is the recommended default for the Surface Pro 3. But so I haven't tried fiddling around with that, because I figure even if I can get an improvement at say 125%, it's going to make the desktop too small.
Yeah, because I think this Toshiba is at 125%, and it was one of the builds where it suddenly jumped from 100 to 125.
Right.
And actually, it looks better at 125, but you do get less real estate effect because of the text size, and it just seems to be a bit more squashed, especially when you go in settings and things. Although this build seems to have improved that as well.
Yeah. Actually, let me give that a quick try.
So why trying that? One of the issues. So what do you think about the new start menu then? So there's been a few tweaks, and let's think what's changed.
Yes.
You can now customize your hamburger menu options with a few extra options at the bottom left. Gary, have you tried that?
Yep. Yeah. So I've simplified it down to one option. But yeah, I mean that's quite good. I always like choices.
So yeah, you can. I think it's in the settings. You can have 4 or 5 custom links, can't you now?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think settings is there by default, but I've added File Explorer, my music folder, just playing about testing it. Still, my frustration, which is less than many people, as we'll talk about, is just that to get to the all apps, you still got to go hamburger all apps. You can't just swipe up like you could from
on tablet mode.
Tablet mode.
I mean, at least you have got a swipe option now when you've got there, but it's still painful.
Yeah, but apart from that, I'm fairly happy with the start menu. I think it looks pretty good in tablet mode now.
Yeah, I mean, I think the adding in the letter shortcuts has made a big difference.
Yes, it looks a lot cleaner, doesn't it?
Yeah, and also navigation-wise as well, because I've got an awful lot of programs on mine, and scrolling up from top to bottom used to take me. In fact, let me do it. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. I'm scrolling as fast as I can. I've got there now.
Yes.
So to get back up to the top, just click on the Z at the bottom, go back to A, and there I am. So
I didn't know about that. I you've just shown me something new there. That's just like Windows Phone, that's how I use it on Windows Phone quite often.
Yeah, exactly, and that makes a huge difference.
Yeah,
to me, for my navigation ability around it. So I think that's great. I love the fact we've got jump list back, and jump list with some bits you wouldn't have expected to get jump list as well, which is quite cool. So yeah, I mean that's cool. So there's some good things. I'm very doubtful we're going to get any changes other than bug fixes now. So I think we were left with what we got.
Yeah, that's what I want to talk about. But I think Jason's Windows 10 Sky must have crashed because we've lost him. We'll try and get him back. And I think there's some changes on the Action Center, the way that looks. It's got a transparency to it now, I think.
Yeah, I like the way that looks now. I think sort of the no edge look almost to it as well, which I do like that. It seems to be better than it was before. It just seems to fit better. The dark theme fits better as well. Modern apps look better, whatever you want to call them. I'm back.
Oh, you're back, yes. Did your Skype for Windows 10 crash?
It did. Possibly me. Possibly my own fault. Best remember the screen scaling.
If you did log out, you probably. I did wonder if you'd log it out on that.
No, I didn't log out. It just actually, you said Gary was saying keep going, and then it cut off. I thought it was one of those Gary moments where he disappeared. But,
I'm still here.
Yeah, we were just saying just about the Action Center seems just a few little visual clues just seem better.
Yes, yeah, I think it has. I quite like the little transparency effect. I like
I do. Yeah,
that line, the border along the edge has gone. It just makes it seem that bit more, almost like Windows 80, really, in a way. Just the way it just sits over the top. So yes, and I noticed also that in this build, which I couldn't do before, is when the Surface was docked, it wouldn't let me turn on tablet mode, and that seems to be back now.
Right.
But yeah, so just quickly, 125% scaling, I do get 3 columns, but as soon as I go back to 150 again, it just goes back to 2, which just there's so much wasted space. But and I'm sorry, Gary, I probably interrupted something you were saying.
That's okay. I was just going to try the 125% scaling and see what I get. But, I'll have to sign. So I'll sign out later. Let's see if I crash out when I do this. So far, so good. Ooh, that's horrible. I've just gone switch to desktop mode, and I've got a. I don't know where the area of the start menu would be. I've got a black area with the hamburger icons down the left-hand side, overlaying the desktop, and I can't get rid of it.
Nice. There are some nice little quirks. I mean, I could sometimes on this Encore 8, it just won't bring Action Center up at all, and then all of a sudden it'll kick in. So there are some quirks, but we'll talk about bug fixing in a sec. But yeah, so I'm just trying to think what else has changed in this build.
Got the new apps thing, haven't we? Where it shows you've got new apps in your.
Yeah, and we've got the films and TV now instead of the video preview app.
Yes, which I've ended up with both now.
Yes, I think they're both seem to stay on there. I think probably films and TV is the replacement. They both look quite similar.
They are just a different build. That's
interesting. Interesting naming, isn't it? Films and TV.
Yes, especially since it includes your own videos as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's the same app, just an earlier build.
Yes.
So, but I only noticed that when I did the PC refresh, because before that I didn't have the new icon. I didn't have that. It was just said video or whatever. But the music one was called. I think it's just called music, isn't it? But that's the same thing. It's just a slightly earlier build, but they seem to have the same functionality.
Yeah. Something else I've noticed as well, which it may just be temporary, but on the Surface Pro 3, it stopped displaying battery life in terms of hours and minutes. It's now just a percentage.
Yes,
which when you're working when you're kind of using it as a laptop in a business environment, you kind of want to know how long you've got. A percentage isn't really that helpful.
Yes, I'm not sure why they've done that, because it also used to tell you how long it'll take to charge. Has that gone away?
I don't know, to be honest.
I'll try it while we're talking.
Yeah, but yeah. I mean, like I said, I know on the phone they don't like talking about length of time, and then on the Surface 2 devices, you never had the length of time. It was always a percentage. But let's say if it's supposed to be a true kind of laptop replacement, there are scenarios where you kind of need to know, just how long you've got.
Yeah, I think it was in. I think it's on the phone. I think in Battery Saver, I think it does tell you when you go in there. And interesting enough, now when I click on my battery thing, it doesn't bring up anything. It was there. It's gone. I was going to check that, but yeah.
I managed to get rid of my black line by going to Task Switcher and coming back. I'm still only getting 2 columns, despite having switched over to.
Mine did go up to 3, but like I said, sometimes I've been able to trick it. I haven't done anything, but somehow it suddenly just starts displaying three columns. But I'll tell you one frustration I've got on our desktop PC. I've got in Windows Update, I've got an update for our printer which won't install, and there's no way to hide or skip updates.
Yeah, I've got one for SQL Server, which has been sitting there since build 1.
Yeah, which means that when you've got other updates queued up, you can't say skip it. Because I had this on the laptop actually, trying to upgrade it. I think it was to build 74, and it got a graphics driver waiting to install, which kept failing, and until what I ended up doing was actually deleting the graphics driver from Device Manager and deleting the drivers, and then that update went away, and then that allowed me to actually download and install the operating system update, which is really frustrating.
The other thing is I've noticed is that if I go to advanced options, it's always showing slow ring. Yeah, I can change it back to fast, and it does seem to pick it up.
Had that. Yeah. It stopped doing that on this build. It did on the previous build, but
it wasn't doing it on the previous build for me, but it is now. so I love Windows 10.
Yeah, but I think this kind of shows Windows' weakness, isn't it? It runs across such a diverse set of hardware and configurations, and I think that's where the Insider program is quite interesting. That there are these little quirks, and actually knowing which ones are the real bugs and the real showstoppers, and which ones are just the fact that we're now probably installed 6 or 7 Insider previews over the top of each one.
Yeah, and it just make you wonder, doesn't it?
Yeah, so that's what I think. What I'll have to do is move all my VM configurations onto an external drive, and then look at doing a PC refresh, I think. But that would be quite a painful process, so I'm going to wait until the final version comes out.
Just some other change I've noticed as well. You might not see this if you're going on a tablet on a desktop, but you've got the back button, which actually does. Do you remember when we talked about? I think it was on the settings, wasn't it? You had both back button and you had a way of going back through the through the icon. Well, I think you can see how now the back button's still there, but if you're in tablet mode, it gets rid of the back button, and the back button is on the taskbar at the bottom.
Yes.
And that just seemed to work. It switches you back through this stack, and it switches you back through the apps to the app stack. It actually seems to work fairly well then.
Yeah, it works like the phone one, doesn't it? Which you kind of expect.
So that's made the tablet a little bit better. Project Spartan, that just seems to have been improved. The start page now seems quite nice when you go on there. You've got the top site things and a bit of news and everything else. That's actually starting to look quite good, and you can pin things as well, which is nice. You can pin the taskbar, up the side. You can pin web pages as well now.
Yes, yeah, and also actually I noticed on the laptop, I haven't seen it anywhere else actually. I'm just going to have a quick look, but on the laptop I've got the interactive lock screen.
Oh, have you?
Showing up? Yes.
I haven't got that on there.
It's under personalization. Yeah, so on my Surface Pro 3 I've only got a choice in background of lock screen, isn't it? Yeah, so if I go into personalization lock screen, you've got a choice between Windows Spotlight, picture, or a slideshow. But if you choose Windows Spotlight, it actually takes up one of the quick status options. So if you've got quite a few different apps you like to show quick status, the Windows Spotlight has to replace one of those.
Right. Actually, it's just crashed the settings. Changing that. Yeah.
We do like to live on the cutting edge.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if I go to lock screen, it's on Windows Spotlight now. Let me just change it to Windows Spotlight. Yeah, so it doesn't do anything though. I can't see any difference between Windows Spotlight and from this build and previous build. So is yours now doing? Oh
well, I hadn't spotted Windows Spotlight before, so maybe
that's been there for a while.
Okay.
Have we lost Gary?
Yeah, I'm back.
Oh, you're back.
As soon as I said cutting edge, Skype crashed on me.
Yeah, so I've had Windows Spotlight from day one actually. It just doesn't do anything, but I'm eagerly waiting for it to come up.
And the other thing which I thought was supposed to be in this build is in tablet mode. I thought you were supposed to be able to swipe down from the top to bring up the app bars.
It doesn't work.
No. Not just me then.
No, it's Coming back. Coming back on. Hey, we're coming back.
Hello.
Skype properly crashed, proper like crash error, and then reloaded, then decided to update itself.
Oh, we can have fun, can't we?
Yeah, no, you must, to be fair, it's not often Skype completely crashes, but I liked how it just I decided to do a system update as well, just to delay the loading.
Actually, to stop Skype crashing, isn't it?
Yeah.
that new one.
Yeah. So we were just saying, anyway, Windows Spotlight. Yeah, that's there. What else? Jason, you were just saying something. I can't remember what about. You just found something new as well. I can't remember what it was though.
No, I can't remember. I was talking about the swipe down to bring up the.
Oh
app.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, that doesn't work.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
Yeah, you've got to take it out of tablet mode to get to the settings and things like that.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me and Gary were just saying, like, on my desktop. Who hung up? Was that me?
No, you're right.
I'm still here as well.
Maybe it's the other call. Yeah, so on my desktop, I've got the 3 columns, which is what I like. This seems to allow 4 medium tiles wide on each column, but when you do like a large tile, they are really large.
Yeah, massive, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, I know. On a what is this thing? It's a 23-inch monitor, I think it is. They're just absolutely. I think they're just a bit too big, I think.
But that's for tablets, isn't it? For small tablets.
Yeah, although on the if I do, because you've now got the toggle between in the settings if you're having the start menu in full screen or not when you're in kind of non-tablet mode, and I quite like that on a big desktop PC, but so I tend to use a full screen start menu on there, but it just looks wrong. It's just so huge. It's almost like even some of the scaling just looks wrong in the actual tiles when you've got live tiles.
Yeah, imagine, as I said to Jason off it, imagine what it's like on a 50-inch screen, like I'm looking at it here.
Yes. Yeah.
And especially since I can only get 2 columns, which is really annoying.
Yeah. Now, so what other functionality changes are we going to see then in the next build?
None, I don't think. I think we're getting pretty close to the end game, so I think we're just going to see bug fixes now.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what Gable tweeted, wasn't it? That they're all working on bug fixes because they've announced the date since we last recorded.
They have, and did that little app on Windows 7 actually reveal the date before they did? I think. It seemed to be, from what I could see, the chatter on Twitter on blog seemed to be about this reserve your copy now, and then about 5 minutes later it was like, oh, now they've announced the release date.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So so they've announced the release date, July 29th, and that's for upgrades and for OEM copies as well, isn't it? I presume clean installs. If you buy a copy, you should be able to buy a copy on the 29th.
Yes, yeah, I would have thought so. Yeah, I mean, certainly that's the date that if you do a digital upgrade, that's going to be available. So, yeah, I would expect it would be in retail packaging as well.
Now, what they did to go with this, like you said, it kind of perhaps preempted what the official announcement is, and this came quite slowly on my machines, but some people seem to have it quicker than others, is the little window flag has appeared in the taskbar next to the battery icons and the little Dropbox icons that you have down there. Little Windows flag there that you can click on. It says reserve your copy.
Yes, because those digital copies could run out.
So why do you think so if anybody's not seen that, the little flag appears, you double click on it, you sort of go through a little wizard where it asks you your email address, although you can skip that if you want, and then it says okay, you're all done, and then it disappears. So what's it for? What's the purpose of this?
Well, the rumours are that they're actually going to preload part of Windows 10 prior to release if you've done the reservation.
Right.
So that when you actually get to the release date, it'll actually be a quite quick download. Which I think that's quite a clever idea, because if they do it right, then they stagger that free download, they won't have that massive hit on the servers on day one.
Yeah, a bit like, is that like when you buy an Xbox game, isn't it? That the sort of, it's there, isn't it, on the release day?
Yeah, preloaded effectively.
Yeah. But I also think it's been, well, first of all, that's the way that you get the free upgrade, isn't it? That's the way they're saying you can do it at the moment. So there won't be I thought to get the free upgrade, you would probably go to, like, through the store, there would be an option like there was in Windows 8 to go to 8.1. But I suppose they haven't got that option in Windows 7. But this is appearing on Windows 7 as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's done through Windows Update, so it's coming up. I think it's obviously a sensible way to do it, because you rightly say there's no store in Windows 7.
And to me, it seemed to be a really good marketing exercise that has generated a lot of interest in Windows.
Yeah, I noticed you saying that you were getting a lot of inquiries about it. I've been getting a lot of inquiries about it. People saying, should we go to Windows 10? Is it worth doing?
And this was people on Windows 7 as well that I was getting the questions.
Yeah, actually, it was primarily Windows 7 people I was getting it from.
Yeah. So I had a few people at work sort of email me and say, this Windows 10 thing, then shall I get it? And so yeah, I think it had worked, that little the app, and the fact that there's some press about it as well. But I think it's quite a smart idea. It's quite a good use of Windows Update.
Yeah, I mean, certainly they're talking about having it on 1.5 billion devices within the first, was it 12 months or so? So yeah. I think that, they've got to be that aggressive, haven't they? I think it could be a bit of a shock. I can imagine people opting into that and not really understanding exactly what they're going to get.
Yeah. Or what they're going to lose.
Yes.
Yes. So that's the next question. So what are they going to lose?
Well, being this program, first things first, Media Center. If you can have Media Center, well, you've lost it if you go to Windows 10.
And desktop widgets.
Desktop widgets, yeah. Well, some people like those.
Yes.
I guess you could say the start menu is a replacement for them, but some people do like them.
Yeah.
There was a whole list of potential stuff you were going to lose.
It was Windows Live Essentials will remove the OneDrive part of that.
Yeah.
But
Windows
that will
Update.
obviously be replaced. Yeah. Yes, Windows Update. Yes, being able to skip updates, as I said.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. I mean, that's one of the things, they're removing Windows Update, and there is going to be no way to block those updates. It's the experience that we see in the app now, isn't it? They just come through.
Yeah, and on the home editions, you won't have any control. Updates will just install. You'll have no control over delaying them or anything. With the Pro version, you have the option of not installing new features straight away, and obviously potentially delaying updates. But most people will just have the home edition, unless you've got a Surface Pro 3 or Ultrabooks. Your standard tablets will just be the home edition.
And that's just gonna come straight down. You're gonna have no choice with it. But did you see what they did with Media Center as well? And this was quite funny. Is that that little wizard thing that we talked about does actually do sort of very basic PC sort of check to see whether you're capable of running Windows. And I actually think it only shows up on devices that it's pre-checked anyway. But it kind of says, you're fine to upgrade, and it says, by the way, you will be getting rid of Windows Media Center. It's kind of downplayed it quite a bit, really.
Yes, yeah, it certainly has.
I think Gary's dropped off. It's probably crashed tonight. Getting back.
I'm back.
Oh yeah, back. Yeah. So did you see that sort of notification screen for when Windows is going to remove Windows Media Center? It was pretty. It made pretty light of the fact that you're going to lose all this functionality.
It wasn't even sort of a warning, was it? It was just like, by the way, you might want to know, but we don't really want to tell you.
Yeah, but I think like the saying in the chat room, most people aren't going to notice these things, but Media Center maybe. And I think the other thing was DVD player as well, wasn't it? So that might be something that, say, someone like my son would notice. He's got a DVD drive in his laptop and suddenly wonder why it doesn't work. Although I think it's probably got Cyberlink or something like that already installed on there.
Yeah, I think most people will have something. I mean, the thing is that Gabe did say some time back that they were going to look for a DVD replacement, and the codecs are virtually all there, so I don't think it'd be too difficult to get something to play.
And I think the VLC app would probably do it anyway.
Yeah, there's probably apps out there which will do it.
Yeah. So, but it was a nice little warning there, and just to show that there is still interest out there. The top-rated post this week on TDL so far is how to add Windows Media Center to Windows 10 that I wrote last year when you could do it. Now you can't. And I've updated the post to say, don't try this. It won't work. And if you do upgrade, you'll lose it. But that is by far the biggest hit this week, which is just shows you that, despite what Microsoft say their data says, there's still a lot of people searching for Windows Media Center and Windows 10.
Yeah.
So that's a shame. But anyway, so that update's going to come down. It's going to be there automatically. So there's no cost for that either, is there?
No, as they said.
Yeah. So July 29th, we should have that update and maybe up and running. It'll be interesting to see how that works. Like you said, if they do preload that, it would make sense to do it just.
Yeah, and I think that would make sense for why they're pre-reserving as well, because it's about the only reason you want to do a reservation type system.
I think I saw. I think it might have been Chris Field tweeted a snapped image of an email confirming his reservation. I think it states in there that it will pre-download it.
Yeah, I've not had any of those emails. Funny that.
Yeah, I think so. That certainly makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, like as Gary said, they don't want their download servers to be whacked on day one, and secondly, I think it is quite a hefty download, so why not just get it out of the way? And I guess those components that sit on the hard drive waiting could be serviced without you even knowing it. To put the latest fixes there prior to that upgrade.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and I noticed it didn't. I can't get that icon to show up on my little Lynx 7, which has got the compressed image. So I don't know what happens with that. And none of my machines at the office have shown up on either.
That's a good thought. I haven't checked the Lynx 8. I'll check that after the show and see if that's got it.
Yeah. So these machines, the Skype machine and my and the streaming machine have showed up, and my kids' laptops, I've noticed theirs has showed up as well. So I think what Microsoft said is it doesn't show at you if you're not capable. I think there's some minimum requirements. Although I'm pretty sure that Lynx 7 it had enough disk space and enough processor and everything else. But I guess there'll be some kind of additional way of installing it when you get to July 29th.
Maybe because it's a 7-inch screen.
It could be, yeah. I mean, they've said that would get the desktop one, haven't they?
Yeah.
But we had an interesting conversation, Jason, today with Barb Bowman about the tablet experience.
Yeah, and I think I said then, and I've said before that it is going to be interesting because I think the people that go straight from Windows 7 to Windows 10, that they won't know any different. They'll just experience and discover it as it is. But I think Barb is understandably frustrating. It does take some getting used to for us that have adopted and actually like Windows 8. There is some unlearning and relearning to do in terms of muscle memory, and while scrolling the start menu up and down makes more sense compared to in relation to Windows Phone, it's certainly a change where it used to be left to right scrolling. And I think the way you get to the all apps is horribly fiddly even in tablet mode. It really is, despite you've got a free hand movement, it's still shutting down the machine is so undiscoverable. You have to tap the hamburger menu, then you have to get power and
yeah. I was actually thinking about this the other day. Now they've actually closed that hamburger menu out by default on the thing. I think you just end up pressing the start button should bring it up. You don't need the hamburger menu at all.
Yes, yeah. Although traditionally, clicking the start menu twice normally opens and closes it, doesn't it? Yeah. But the one thing I noticed with my Surface Pro 3 is that actually, if you just like on most tablets, I know certainly my kids' Huddles and the iPad works this way, the Surface RT works this way. That if you just hold down the power button, you get the slide the screen down to power down.
Yeah.
And I think maybe in a tablet, people aren't used to shutting down their tablets using a menu system. They're used to just using the power button.
Yeah, I think power is one of those things which I can see that being something on tablet you'd use a power button for. But I think getting to navigation things are just, I mean, it's really difficult to get to that all apps, and it shouldn't be on the tablet. I think that's about the only thing
Yeah, go on.
Did he go?
Oh, he may have.
I tell you, I mean, I know one thing they could do, for example, which would seem to be more intuitive. And the hamburger menu could be there for discoverability, and it shows this isn't a very discoverable feature. But do you remember a few weeks back when I said I discovered that if you slide just in Skype, if you slide if you swipe across the screen, it brings up the chat window, and if you swipe again, it closes it. So you could have that kind of gesture to open, since you can't scroll the menu you can't scroll the start screen left to right. So why not have that as a gesture to expand that, all apps?
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see the swipe up really like Windows 8.1, and it's a gesture that doesn't do anything in Windows 10. You still got the left and the right gestures, but you haven't got the swipe up. But yeah, like I said when we were having the discussion today, it's really the amount of people who would find it really difficult going from Windows 8.1 to Windows 10 is fairly small, isn't it, compared to the amount of people from Windows 7 to Windows 10. And the people like us who are on Windows 8.1 really are fairly adaptable anyway, because we're used to seeing these changes. So
yeah,
it's a small subset of people.
Yeah, and also at the end of the day, there is a reason why the majority of Windows users haven't adopted Windows 8, and for those people, these small changes they just won't notice them. It would just be the way it works. And I think 99% of those people will be so relieved to actually have a start menu back, and probably unlikely to be using it in tablet mode initially. That to them it would just be a start menu with everything there and scrolling up and down. We're kind of used to that in Windows, aren't we? They kind of clean things up with Windows 7, but in Windows Vista days, and certainly Windows 2000 and previous to that, even the start menu, when you used to click it, had all sorts of horrible ways where I remember Windows 95 where it would just keep expanding out to the right every time you went into sub menu. So I think people are used to scrolling the start menu up and down, and I think that kind of does make a bit more sense, particularly since we've also used to using scroll wheels, and you used to scroll wheels being a vertical rather than a horizontal type movement.
What happens if you use a scroll wheel on the start menu? I haven't got a machine with it on.
It just scrolls the menu up and down. So
once you're into all apps, it does.
Yeah, and also the same on the actual start bit where the tiles are. It just you just use the scroll and it will move up and down. And even as you move the mouse pointer over between the two, the scroll affects each one depending on where the mouse pointer is. So, I think, I mean, certainly it's going to be interesting. As I say, on tablet mode, clicking that hamburger menu to then tap all apps and then tap the the letters to building up the jump list is quite it's quite a lot of effort, but. The question really is how often would you actually, once you've got your start menu configured how you want it with your tiles, and once you've got your more regular apps pinned, are you really going to be using the all apps all that much?
Yeah, so I'm on my Encore 8 when I had Windows 8.1 on it. I very rarely use the all app list because you just pin what you find useful. Yeah,
I can see that. I don't know. I think it's because there's so much space around the hamburger menu at the moment for me. I mean, maybe if we didn't have all those big margins and that, it might actually work better.
But I really do hope they fix that. I really do.
But they have said that big margins are a bug. But it's just whether it's one of the things they'll fix on their bug fixing, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It does give it that sort of nice, sort of clean space feeling, though, doesn't it? It doesn't feel like crammed in and cluttered. It gives you a nice, clear user interface. So maybe that's part that they've done that through usability testing. That found that it's more pleasing on the eye to sort of have that more spaced out feel to it.
Well, I guess with 3 columns it works. I mean, I've seen your pictures from your video, and with 3 columns it actually looks okay, but with 2 columns it looks rubbish.
Yeah. I mean, it certainly will be. I mean, obviously 29th of July is the big day, and I'm sure we'll, as insiders, get access to near, if not the actual release potentially before that. And I've said that I don't think the insiders preview builds are necessarily that close to the release branch. So I think we might see another jump in kind of stability. And also, Windows 10, as I've said, is never going to be done. The RTM really is. It was probably outdated in Windows 7 and Windows 8 days, but certainly in this case it is. I mean, between, let's say, the code gets finished in early July, there'll be patches and fixes probably available on the day of launch.
Yeah. That's what I'm expecting. I think, and is it also? I mean, we're sort of saying it's feature complete, which is fair enough, but we don't. Because we haven't got that lag between builds, that they may well be a few more new features in the next build.
Certainly, potentially a few extra little surprises. I mean, they normally do hold things back, don't they?
Yeah, but like the phone companion app's not there yet, is it?
No.
So there are some things still to ship.
But so I think it's also going to be interesting to see actually how many new builds we actually get between then and now. I mean, potentially there's only 8 weeks, is it, give or take? So best case we'll see 8 new builds, unless they do obviously multiple builds per week. But I mean, I would expect this is going to be locked down as much as lockdown applies these days, but certainly by early July.
Yes, I think so. I think we're just going to see, like we said in the post, we're going to see bug fixes and maybe the odd apps, because the apps can be serviced separately. So like the phone companion app, that can be shipped separately, and the Xbox Music and video apps, they can go separately. So there's still stuff that they can do like that, but you're not going to see the start menu hamburger disappear with a new concept.
No, and I think also we'll see the old one of the stores disappear. The beta one will get renamed. I think the old store will disappear. Yeah,
it's a bit frustrating the new store, because you see the apps, and you can update them, but there's no release notes. There's no way to find out what's changed on it.
Yeah,
so hopefully they'll fix that as well.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
But these are all things that they can service separately. By the way, I've just checked on this Core 8. We've plugged the charger into it, and it just says charging. It used to show you how much it used to say like 2 hours 53 before fully charged, which was a really nice feature. So that's gone on this one, which is a real shame. I hope that comes back.
Yes, yeah, so do I.
It could have been, I suppose, a reliability issue that they couldn't really get it to really be accurate amounts, but I found that really good. It was really nice to think, another hour and I'll take it. But it's just that not many devices do that. I charge my Microsoft Band up and it says at 80%, and then it just jumps to 100. So not many things really ever tell you how long they'll be before they charge.
Yeah, the one thing I will say about this latest build is that my Surface Pro 3 definitely runs cooler. With the previous builds, I was really getting the fan coming on quite often and getting quite hot, whereas it seems to be much more settled down now.
I've noticed that actually. I'm getting 5 degrees average less running, doing the same sort of things I do every day. So yeah, that's definitely an improvement.
Yeah, and I've noticed on this Encore slightly different. In fact, it doesn't. I haven't noticed temperature change, but it drains the battery when it's not in use. Whereas it used to didn't. It used to go into that connected standby. But there is an option I noticed in Sleep to turn the Wi-Fi off. So if you did that would improve it. But I previously didn't touch it, and I just left all the defaults. And it used to stay, 95% charge when you left it, and when I got home, it was still 90%. Now it's actually draining. But Surface Pro 3 doesn't do that.
Yeah.
I hadn't noticed that before. Have you noticed the 3D Builder apps now available?
Yeah, I've noticed. I was going to ask you. There was that one and the Network Beta apps. I was going to ask you about.
The 3D Builder app I actually uninstalled because there was an update in the store which just kept failing to install, so I got fed up and removed it completely.
Yeah. I think you need my HoloLens to work with this.
Did you notice I found a new app that's called Network Beta, and when you go into load it just says coming soon, so I wonder what that was.
Yeah, I've seen Richard talking about that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the interesting thing I think about this, because we talk about feature completeness, because feature completeness only refers to the operating system, and a lot of the stuff we actually think has been part of the OS and this, like the Mail app and everything like that, they can carry on adding features and ad nauseum.
Yeah, they just need to be well, yeah, there's no cut-off date, is it? They just need to make sure they've got out of beta really by the 29th of July, and then they can carry on updating it.
Yeah, indeed.
And like you said, they could. I guess that they could also have still split it off and have a beta channel if they wanted, and have a separate app in the store for Windows Insiders to test.
Yeah, and I'm guessing that's what they're going to do, because they've been doing it with Xbox all the time, so it makes sense to me.
Yeah, like I said in the chat room, they could just go with sort of larger feature updates twice a year, and I suspect they may well group some things together, and we'll see the individual apps updated all the time, like you said, and maybe some of the larger features grouped together. But like, you know, say a start menu change or something like that, maybe that'll come as an update later in the year, which I think is what's been rumored anyway, isn't it? They're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, one of the problems I'm going to have actually using Windows 10 is I can't really use it with the mail client at the moment. Certainly not when I'm travelling, because I need to have. Although most airlines will now accept boarding passes electronically, some of them still insist on having paper ones, and you can't print from the mail app. Can
you still not print from that?
No. So I'm guessing at some point they'll do an update which allows that. But well, you'd hope so anyway.
Yeah, you think so? Yeah, because I know what you mean. Occasionally you have to do. I suppose you could put Outlook on there.
You could do, yeah. I guess
it goes against the concept of a nice lightweight mail app.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah,
and the old app you could print from, so it's a pain, but it's one of those things. I understand that these features can be added later.
Yeah,
there's a lot of spit and polish to be done on that mail app.
Yeah, there is. It's certainly better than the Windows 8.1 app.
Oh yeah, it is, but it crashes way too often for my liking. But
yeah. And of course we've done the full hour show. We haven't even talked about the phone OS.
Yes, I've put my son's phone back to Windows Phone 8.1.
Yeah, I think phone is for another show, but I did speculate whether they would move people off the phone team to help finish off the PC version, but Robert McCaws and a couple of others came back to me on Twitter, said no, the separate teams, that won't happen.
Yeah, well, they've got a lot of work to do on the phone version.
Yeah, and we're going to see that later.
Yeah. Dave seems to be he's teased quite a few times that there might be a phone build they're working on, but I think interesting, he said 10134, I think it was, has got an upgrade bug, I think, which he says it's probably going to mean it's not going to come to us, but there must be a new phone build soon, I would have thought.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they've still got a while to go before they have to put a phone build out, so...
I just wonder whether it'd be like all hands to the pump on PC version now, and whether it would mean moving people around, but a few people saying no, they wouldn't do that. So we shall see. We kind of run out of time, actually. There was a couple of things I did want to mention that I'll include links to in the show notes, but there's a new Kodi XBMC remote for Android available. And I reviewed my new favourite phone, the little phone that's quite big, the 640 XL. I did like that phone. I've still got it, actually. I've still been playing with it. It's a very nice phone, really nice size, good price as well.
Yeah. Well, my 735 got the 8.1 SP2.
Oh, that's a nice little day as well with the categorized settings.
Yeah, settings. I still don't know why they didn't put them alphabetically within the categories, but that would have made sense to me. But
yeah,
someone obviously just doesn't like alphabetizing.
Yeah,
they've obviously done some sort of consumer research and said that Wi-Fi is the thing you need to get through first, and then flight mode and Bluetooth, which is probably true. But
how does the 640 XL compare to the 1320 in terms of build quality?
I not really spent a lot of time on a 1320, so it's hard to say. But the 640, it's slightly better build quality than the 630, 635.
Mm-hmm.
It's still got that kind of budget feel though to it, really. So it's not got like the 735. I thought for its price has got quite a nice feel to it. It's got that sort of. It feels like the 1520 sort of solid body one, even though it's not.
Yeah, I always think it reminds me of my old 920. Actually.
Yeah. But the 640 has got that removable back, so it does have that kind of plastic feel. But I found it quite good quality, and I think the screen and the camera are as good, actually. So I think it's probably almost a direct replacement for that.
Yeah, I've seen a few rumours that there could potentially be a 940 and a 940 XL, and I would quite like to see Microsoft kind of settle on that kind of naming convention.
I think they will, yeah.
Yeah, they have like I guess many low end phones, but certainly a standardised kind of higher low end to mid end, and then a high end phone, with that normal and then XL moniker. I think that makes quite a good.
Yeah.
I think it makes quite a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think it does. Yeah. But anyway, we can talk about phone next week. We'll see. We never know. We could have a new build this week. I think there is a build that they were talking about, so we may see a build out later this week. Might even get a phone build. You never know.
You never know.
But until then, we'll probably be back same time, 9 p.m. Tuesday evening UK time. It's good to have everybody in the chat room. It was nice to see some people in there tonight. And so get your Windows 10 copy reserved. And
Yes.
I'll have to try and see if I can do that now on the links.
Yeah. So I've got Windows 3.1 for work groups. Do I get a free upgrade to Windows 10?
No.
No, you get to have Windows ME free. So I'd be grateful. Or Windows 95 with this big scrolling list, you can have that. Big scrolling out list. So Gary, just what's your Twitter?
I'm at Gary with 2 R's, WMA. And also you can find me on fascinatedtech.com.
And Jace, where do we find you?
I'm at Database Jace on Twitter.
Excellent. Well, thanks for that. Skype just about held out towards the end, so we'll see you next week. We won't push your luck anymore.
Yeah, I'm not going to move the Skype window. It crashed every time I moved it. So I'm not touching it.
All right, we'll see you next week.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Okay, good stuff. So I'll probably go for same time next week.
Yeah, 9 seems to work quite well because I think both me and Jace get back in time for it. So that's, it helps a bit.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, I'll see you next week.
Yeah, okay.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.